I am your host, Colin Birch, and today we are sitting with Thobani Ndlovu in the Royal Drakensberg Primary School in one of their classes. It's a beautiful little place right here. Thobani, how have you been since the last time we spoke? Anything interesting that happened?
I mean, I've been really good. There's always interesting things happen when they're kids.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah, yeah,
Never a
yeah.
dull moment, as they say.
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, let's get right into it. Education is often referred to as the great equalizer. But I want to know, in the unique context of the Northern Drakensberg, Thobani, how have you witnessed its role in providing opportunities for these children and helping to break cycles of poverty?
I think what I've seen is that when you give children the opportunity, they will really surprise you. Just referring back to the statement of education being the great equalizer, it's the one thing that nobody can take away from you. So when you give children the ability to, or when you teach children how to read, then they can really transform and go to various places. And this could be the careers that they could one day hold. An example of this is a boy that came to our school, Samgelo, who grew up in the area and then went on to go to the boys' choir school, and just recently was conducting the Youth Philharmonic in Pretoria. So you look at kids who've had opportunities where maybe they started doing music at 3 or 4, and he may have had like a later start in it, but look at what he's been able to achieve. So I strongly believe that it is an equalizer, yeah.
That's amazing. It really is an amazing thing to see. And how long have you worked here now?
Just a little over 3 years.
A little over 3
Yeah.
years. Wow. And in those 3 years, I can imagine there's so many stories you must have already witnessed, right? Especially being the head of the school.
Yeah.
I can't imagine seeing this. One thing I've always noticed is that the smiles of children, right? And the energy of children always pick you up. So no matter what energy or what mood you're in for that day, you come to a place like this and you just they just revitalize you.
Yeah.
So one of the main focuses of the Royal Drakensberg Education Trust is on early childhood development. I want to ask, why do you think it's important to focus on these formative years? And how do you see its impact going forward?
So there's this idea that children start learning when they are in grade 1, right? But we know that most of the brain development happens before a child is 5. A child starts learning while they're still in their mother's belly. So it's very, very important that we capitalize on these formative years to build those critical building blocks, right? That enable them to then learn later on. It's not just about academic learning, but it's also about attachment styles. Is a child going to be securely attached emotionally in the relationships that they're going to have later on? And so teaching a child how to feel safe is very, very important. And it's in these years that it's most critical.
Okay, and how have you guys gone about trying to cultivate this type of environment that is safe, that allows learners to not only have a solid foundation in the academic sense, but then also have a fostering of self-belief and an allowance for them to unlock their creativity?
Yeah. So maybe to answer that question, I'm going to maybe go slightly back.
Okay.
The reason why I became a grade art teacher is because my grade art teacher really made me feel safe and comfortable and like I belonged.
That's beautiful.
I remember hating school after that, but always going back to that experience. And that experience carried me throughout my entire life. And I was going on a different path. My parents thought I was going to be an industrial psychologist. Yes, and I told them I want to teach grade art because I wanted to create the same environment. It was both selfish and maybe altruistic because I wanted to be in the space where I felt safe, but I wanted to also make kids feel safe as well. So that's in actually listening to children, making sure that they believe that their voice matters and what they say is important, giving them space to express themselves, not just assuming that this is what the child needs, but allowing yourself to be led by children. So I think for me, that's always my approach.
That is a that is a beautiful way and a beautiful way to go about it, and a truly incredible outlook that you have, Thobani. And I'm so glad that your grade art teacher installed that in you so that you could bring that here. So another critical part of the Royal Drakensberg Primary School is its how can I say, its commitment to teacher development. And so I want to ask you, what qualities do you look for in teachers? And not only that, but how do you go about, once they have been selected, how do you go about empowering them further?
It's very important that a teacher is a person who has a desire to continuously learn. There's this idea that when we are learning, or when we are at university, we're told that the teacher is the knowledgeable other. That could be very problematic because it means that you think you know everything. A teacher is a person who should be a lifelong learner. So always wanting to grow, always wanting to be better, and always creating capacity to grow and be better. So that's the one thing that I look for when selecting teachers to work with is, do you have the desire to grow? Do you think that you, or maybe are you...
Do you already know everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say arrogant.
Yes, it is. It boils down to that, 100%.
But I think if you think that there's always something to discover, then there's so much to work around, right? I don't know everything. So even when work or doing professional development, I'm always looking for people who can come and empower teachers to bring in new skills. Yeah.
No, it is true, because I think oftentimes one of the biggest barriers to learning is exactly thinking that you know everything already, and then once you've done that, you kind of just cut yourself off from future knowledge.
Absolutely.
Your same patterns and beliefs and routines, and I will say I agree with you, because a lot of my teachers that I loved the most were the ones who had a continuous interest in not only in their field but in just life as a whole. They were continually learning, and there were so many as well that unfortunately didn't have that mindset, and also just. Sometimes they're just not there for the right reasons, in a sense. They're more there for the paycheck than to actually, nurture the growing child, which is, it's a shame, but, it's a symptom of our society, I guess, at this point. But it's not something that is set in stone either. So.
Absolutely. I mean, just the premise that we can always learn, right? So if we already hold the judgment that, this is a fixed thing, so we're also thinking we know everything. It's so important to be malleable. And when you ask questions, we're both learning, right? So as a teacher, I shouldn't just be thinking that a child is a blank slate and I'm just going to pour into them. Or even as a leader, I shouldn't think that teachers are a blank slate and I'm just going to pour into them. But always asking the questions and the right questions, then we're both learning in that process.
I like that. And so on that point of the blank slate thing, right? Because there are a lot of, obviously, people come from different backgrounds, right? The circumstances that they come to school with, are quite different. Not only that, but some people they have different ways of learning to begin with, right? And so that's where the traditional systems often kind of fail to account for all these things. So I want to ask, how does your system work with regards to that? How does it take into account the backgrounds that they're coming from and their different learning styles to help unfold their potential?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I mentioned this in our last chat, so you'll forgive me if I repeat myself.
No, not at all.
On Mondays, we have a meeting with the teachers. And in that meeting, we call it the academic meeting, but it's far more than that. In that meeting, each teacher shares how their week has been, or the previous week, and their experiences with different children. The strength in that is that you find a child who's maybe in grade 3, who started with us from grade triple R, and every teacher in that classroom or in that space has taught that child. So they can tell you a bit more about their family situation. They can tell you more about their learning style. They can tell you more about how to personalize education for that child. So we're not just looking at a group or these are the rules, but we're looking, as I said earlier, the needs of the child, and we allow ourselves to be led by the child. So I think that tailoring your teaching to specific children is actually the key to unlocking learning for every single child.
No doubt. I like that a lot. Yeah, not seeing them as just another number
Yeah.
in the system, but seeing them for where they are, and working with them from that to enhance their abilities that are already there.
Yeah. I always say we have this idea that children exist in the future, like they're future adults, and we don't see them as whole now. The saddest reality, and this always makes me a bit emotional, but the saddest reality is that some children are not going to live to adulthood. So we cannot then treat them as if they are people who are going to be in the future. They are complete and whole now, and we need to make sure that they have the best experience now. So it's very important for me that every child feels special in this moment.
Wow, that is truly beautiful. I felt that one in my soul. Truly. And I'm really glad that you are where you are, doing what you're doing, because it really shows that you, not only that you're passionate about it, but you have let's say, the knowledge and the means to actually put that into action, to actually help these children in as best you can and as best they would probably be able to if they went to other traditional schools. Said they would definitely not receive that treatment. So that's amazing, truly.
No, I appreciate that. I think I'm the lucky one.
No, that's
No, getting to be in a space, children just bring a freshness to life. How easily they let go of things and just can be in the present moment is a lesson for me every day.
Yeah, I think we can all take something from that one, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, thinking about the Canisela project, right? It is quite a big project now. It's grown over the years, and I mean now supports over about 18 centres.
20 now.
20 now.
20
wow.
now.
My numbers are wrong.
Well, it grows every day. So.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm glad to hear that. I really am. I would gladly be wrong in that regard. But yeah, do you mind sharing some of the more like striking transformational things that you have encountered through the Canisela project?
I think it's probably a story that I shared, but I think one of the most profound experiences is the teacher who started off as a cook in one of the creches. Even yesterday, just like I was so proud watching her, because we had the workshop with the ladies from the creche, and she wasn't on the agenda. She saw a moment and she said, I need to say this, right? So, and you can tell that she's not a naturally extroverted person. So the opportunities that she's gotten from Canisela, from being a cook to being a baby boost facilitator, a mentor at the creches, a grade triple R teacher, and now she's completing her B.Ed, and you see the confidence that it's given her to share things that she knows a lot more about than I do, right? So watching her just take that opportunity to say, now that we've learned this, can we apply it in these ways? It was just amazing to watch. I think I don't believe that anyone is born shy. I think that like life experiences just beat us up so badly that we end up just like, getting into these shells. So when we meet opportunities that help break those shells, it's so beautiful to watch. I think even the name Canisela, to bring light to, and just seeing her bring light, it's beautiful. Yeah.
That is truly remarkable. And I like also you said about obviously also harking back to what we were talking about a bit earlier about obviously always learning and that, but I see a lot of the time as well people who who will write somebody off, right off the bat, thinking that they can't learn anything from them. But one of the greatest lessons I learned from one of my camp coordinator when I was working at Wortelgat was actually that, exactly that. You can learn something from every single person that you encounter. So don't ever think yourself above anybody else in that respect, because you aren't. And that you know things that they might not know, but they probably know a lot that you don't know as well. So
Absolutely.
it's important to keep that open mind with regard to that.
Yeah, a friend of mine, because I'm part of a larger teacher network, so a friend of mine has started a science club in his school.
Nice.
And he was sharing that now they're starting a garden, and there's a boy who's really struggling with maths and science, like to the point where his parents are worried, the teachers are worried. But he knows so much about gardening that now that they've started this club, he has a space where he can shine because he knows how to do things. And I was saying to him, do you realize that this boy's, one, he's teaching you a lot, but he probably knows a lot more about science because, agriculture is a science. And there's a way to sort of bring in the things that you would teach in the classroom to make those connections for him. I think most of the time it's just language, right? It's not that people don't know, but it's the language that we use that can become so exclusive that then people think they don't know. Yeah. But if you really just spoke to them or met them at the language that they use or the concepts that they've developed to understand things, you'd find out that they really know a lot more than you would imagine.
That is true. Yeah, no doubt. That's a beautiful story, though. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah. It's just a little pet peeve of mine. I thought you're talking about the language, the words that they use to describe things. I find it interesting that regardless of the let's say the field you go into, right? A lot of the time they'll have the same word that we would use, right, just in normal everyday conversation. They have that same word, but it has a completely different actual definition and meaning. So then it's like there's also that confusion that can come from that, because in those settings you try to speak to somebody and then you think they're just using normal language, but then they're actually using jargon. Yeah. And then sometimes, just a little pet peeve of mine. I wanted to say.
No, I relate to that. I really think that we've made knowledge inaccessible in just how we speak, or and it's a thing like language isn't real. It's an abstract thing, right? It's something. It's a tool that we created so that we can communicate with each other and understand each other. But much bigger conversation about like class and how language becomes exclusive through that, and how it keeps people away from certain opportunities just because of how they speak.
Yeah, no, it's always been very interesting to me as well, language, and how it has developed throughout time, and how we've changed its usage from very literal to now more abstract and metaphoric. Yeah, it is. So we can have more conversation about that sometime.
Sure, I would love to. I'm obsessed about languages, and how this thing that we created seems to now just like rule our lives, right?
Every sense. Even when you're alone and you're not even talking to anyone, you're talking to yourself.
Exactly.
All right. So you were just mentioning the Baby Boost program, Thobani, and I wanted to find out for you. It obviously focuses on the very earliest stages, right, of a child's growth, really, and especially the Baby Boost programs also center around their caregivers and empowering and helping them. So how have you seen that process go? How much of an impact do you think this has as one of your initiatives?
So I think this is what we've been hearing a lot, where people are saying like, what's the impact, like what's the M&E, and those things require a lot of money, and we'd rather pour in the money into actually doing the program. And yes, we should develop ways of sort of measuring how far the growth is. What we have been doing is that after each Baby Boost session is having a focus group with the ladies. While there is sort of like mental development and social development for the kids, because they get to be around other kids, and you start seeing them develop language and how they interact with toys and books. But the most profound thing for me has been the mom saying, I got to bond with my child. And them then saying, because a lot of these ladies have had children before, and saying that I wish I could go back and do the same things with my kids who are older, because I see how my child is developed.
Wow, okay.
At our very school, we've got children who are part of the Baby Boost program, and you can just see the difference in how confident they are, you know, because they are used to being given the opportunity to lead. Because one of the things is Baby Boost is that the serve and return, right? So you let the child lead how they play with the toy, and then you respond to that as the parent. So I think in those early years, giving the child the opportunity to lead, you just see it. We see in the community as well, in the community schools. I know one of the teachers who used to work with us and was part of the Baby Boost program, now teaches in Obonjaneni Primary, and she says you can just see the difference in the kids who have been part of the Baby Boost program. Yeah.
All right. That's a great initiative that you guys have going there. I think I may have asked it in the previous interview, but just refresh my memory, and maybe for new viewers who will listen to this interview, right? What was the impetus behind the Baby Boost program? What was the need that was seen that started it?
Yeah. So I think just going back to what I said earlier, that children don't start learning when they go to school or to creche. And Baby Boost works with children in their first 1,000 days. So it's actually going to the children at the lowest level, when they are the youngest. And teaching moms that you actually are the child's first teacher if you just engage them with intention, right?
Yeah.
So it was that in many cases, the ladies have a lot of demands, you know, like stay-at-home moms who have to go fetch water from the community tap or the river, who have to literally keep the fires burning, right? There are so many demands that it's so easy to just think that children will just develop because children just grow. So bringing in that intentionality in them to say, even spending an hour a day of just sitting down with your child, making eye contact, because and I don't think it's just like a cultural thing, but it's probably like a functional thing, that when you have the baby on your back, you can get a lot more done.
Yeah, I see that,
And I know with friends, like babies hate to see that carrier coming because they know that they're about to fall asleep, right? But when you set your child down and you're making that eye contact and you are serving and returning, right? And we have the sort of the 5 premises of sing to your baby, play with your baby, talk to your baby. Can't remember the others, which is terrible.
It happens.
But it's all about doing these things intentionally, right? And it's not like you need external resources, right? It's just you and your baby.
Just right here and now. Yeah.
Like talking to your baby, right? Like there's when I was at university, they said that the language that baby have is motherese, right? Like that babble.
Oh yes,
and
yes.
And we then speak to children like that. But then how are they supposed to grasp actual language when we're going to then use the same babble that they use? So like being intentional about using words, like now we're going to put on your red dress, right? Instead of going goo goo gaga.
I'm sure there's still a time and a place for a little bit of goo goo gaga.
Absolutely. I mean, I do like Queen, so I love that song. Radio Gaga.
That was a good one. All we hear is
yes.
Nice, man. Yeah. All right. So you guys seem to have a very holistic approach to education, right? And I wanted to see, in terms of how it, in terms of the wider community, how have you seen it help children not only in the classroom but outside of the classroom as well?
I wish you would have been here on a day where the kids were at school.
Yeah.
And you would have seen and interacted with our kids. They are such a dream for me because they are so confident. They would come and give you hugs and greet you and all these other things that we were taught you shouldn't do because kids should be seen and not heard, right? Also, well, the only thing I can reference is my culture and my upbringing because that's what I know. We're taught that being confident is being forward, right?
Yeah.
And being shy is being humble.
It's a good point. Yeah, that does tend to get reiterated. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think with the more holistic approach is you're instilling a certain confidence in kids where they have a certainty about themselves.
Yes. Yes.
Which is so affirming because this is going to sound very controversial, but
Okay.
I think that school is a traumatic experience for kids.
It definitely can be. I'm in agreement with you there. Yeah.
I don't even think it can. I think it is.
Yeah.
And I say that because you're literally breaking a child's will. The child would rather be doing something else, and you're saying, do this, right? Sit down, pay attention, repeat after me, right?
Yeah.
And it's for me, the becoming a teacher was or the journey into in teaching, and that's why grade R, because that's when like the reception years is about minimizing that trauma for kids by giving them the space to be confident and be themselves. So I love seeing it play out outside of the classroom.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So that like I know like I have this very bright yellow car. It's actually like when my friend says green, I'm like, no, it's kinetic yellow. But you can
all right, nice.
You can spot it in the community, and I've had kids come up to me and say, can you give us those books that you read for us at the creches? Because that's what they see when they see me, right? And they're confident enough to approach because I allow children to be confidently themselves. So it's always beautiful to watch that play out.
Yeah. And it makes me think, right, that going back to the whole traumatic experience of schooling and that when you look at other wildlife and things like that, right, you see how they learn through their interactions with the world, continually moving around. And yes, at first, they might be with their parents and walking around, but then soon enough they'll be on their way, right? And we obviously as humans have the longest span of development. We in terms of socialization and all of this that needs to happen, that it takes us so much longer to even get to a point of where we are supposed to be self-reliant and self-reliable. But then again, looking at how animals just do this so naturally, and they can just do it through experience, right, with the world. And now we are taking children and taking them out of the world, in a sense, putting them in a box, to try and, tell them this is how they need to do it. And it is strange when you think about it like that. Yeah.
It really is. It's institutionalization.
Indeed it is. Yeah.
What other institutions do we know? Mental health facilities and prisons and schools.
And again, language, right? The language we've chosen to use for these things.
I did say it was a controversial take for a teacher.
I'm here for it.
But I think being here gives us the space. You've seen the environment out here. It gives us the space to be inside and outside, right? Like, so a lot of the learning happens outside as well. So the kids will go on a hike. I might have said this in the previous interview, but we've got the natural pool. So when they learn about transport and they learn about boats, they go and launch their boats at the natural pools. When they were doing the story of Little Red Riding Hood, so they went to go look for Grandma's house in the forest.
Nice.
Right? So it's that explorative learning as well. Look, we cannot run away from the fact that we've created this world, and it demands certain things of us. So if we don't equip kids to be ready, we're really setting them up for failure, right? So if we're just going to let them be feral and just learn through discovery outside of the world, how are they supposed to keep a job in a capitalistic society.
Yeah. I mean, 100%, right? I didn't quite mean it all the way in that
No,
opposite direction, because it's always contextualized,
Sure.
right?
Balance.
Yeah.
I think it's so
100%.
important to balance. But I loved the idea that, or the example that you used, because what school can do is remove children from themselves. And when you speak about animals, like they're so embodied, right? It's like so instinctive.
Yeah.
And we need to be able to find the balance. And going back to that holistic approach that we have, where we have a yoga program that really teaches kids to be in their bodies. I was saying to a friend of mine the other day that I think that the body, no, actually it was my nephew. I was saying that I think the body is an extension of the brain. Like it's part of, it's one organism.
It's an entire entity,
So being like, but we live so much in our brains and not in our bodies that
Really
that can become a problem. So the holistic approach, once again, where we can be in all of these spaces.
It's like almost in a sense like a muscle, right? You can train it so that it's not just the mind that's taking over the whole time, but you use it and it can balance it out. And you can give it its right place, and like it's like a governance of systems within the being. So I really like that example.
Can you imagine how many abilities we've lost because we are not in our bodies? And this is what meets the world. It's not our brain that meets the world, it's our bodies that meet the world. And so many times, like we don't even realize.
But the brain's that intermediary. Thobani, sustaining community initiatives in the long term, right? I can imagine there are a few difficulties that come up, not just with funding and resources, but I'm sure there are unforeseens that come up as well. But I wanted to find out from you, in terms of a strategy or practical measures, how do you guys still ensure the success of your initiatives, even with these uncertainties?
One, I think, yes, money is very important. It's always very helpful. And I think because people are so removed from the area, they don't realize what they give actually does in the community, right? And like what it does to like one individual child and the entire community. I think that it's so important to always be learning, right? Like always be open to learning, always being open to being led. So it's a very difficult one because I don't think there's a specific strategy. I just think that like with each challenge, it's a new opportunity to learn and then be better from that. Times are constantly changing. You're dealing with different people all the time. But I think the dynamic also of being in a rural area that is like also just like steeped in tradition as well. You want progress, but also it can also seem like you're eroding age-old cultures.
I see.
So it's always just in having conversations, being open to learning. I think
finding your way, adapting as it goes.
Definitely.
Okay. And on the terms of funding and that, how if for our viewers that are watching, or for organizations that might find this video and that who might find out about you guys, how can they reach out? How can they make a difference, and how could they help?
A little goes a long way. So whatever it is, right? It's like, so if you go to Royal Drakensberg Education Trust, if you search that anywhere, you'll find us, and you can go to our websites, and we've got all kinds of details on how you could donate, whether you're supporting a child to be at Royal Drakensberg Primary School, whether it's supporting our Baby Boost program, giving books, because we're also trying to help other public schools set up libraries in their schools. Because can you believe it? This is a massive area, but there isn't a public library.
Yeah, that is wild.
It's quite wild, right? So jumble, right? this may seem crazy, but a lot of people also donate like their lightly used clothes, and we take those clothes to the community. Somebody can have something of quality, but for a low price, like R5, 20 Rand for something that's lightly used, right? I think it's so important that people realize that whatever they give allows the people here to have a sense of dignity, and everybody deserves to have that, right?
No doubt.
Yeah.
Especially in a seemingly a culture as wasteful as the 21st century culture, it's good to be able to repurpose these things. You know,
Definitely.
take it, make them go as far as possible.
So old books, money. Money, please. Where should I look there? Money. Yeah. I think it's because also we tend to do this thing where we feel like we know what people need. And then, okay, this is what I'm going to give. Yes, everything is open, right? We'll find a home for it. We'll find a place where it'll be helpful. And we make it seem like it's evil to ask for money, like it's a bad thing or bad manners. But what money can do is that the person can tell us what they need, and then we can get them what they need.
Money has been villainized for the longest time. In that sense. I mean, even the old adage, money being the root of all evil, which is not true. It's how you use it, you know.
I mean, even I, in this moment, feeling quite crass talking about it, but I think it's so important. But I will always invite people to come, because I think that when we do things for people, yes, we are in service, but that thing is serving us as well. So when you come and you see what you're doing here, the feeling that you get is so beautiful. I always say, like, I wish I could package this, because I get to be the luckiest person, because whatever the benefactors give us, I get to then pass that to the beneficiaries. And I get to experience the gratitude that they have. And it's so beautiful. So I always invite people to come to the space and see what's actually happening. And get that feeling for themselves, experience the gratitude for themselves, which is so fulfilling.
That's a beautiful way to go about it. All right. So in terms of, you know, your experience here at the primary school, right, being the head and all of that, and from what you've witnessed, do you think there are perhaps other things that we could employ, or let's say roll out, you know, in other places in the country, or in South Africa for that matter, you know?
Yeah, I think I may sound a bit arrogant, but I think that the formula that we have here, that if you imagine a triangle, right, where it's the school, it's the community, and the parents, all serving the child who's in the center. And when you, that's what our programs do. The Baby Boost program, the Parent Power program. These programs actually are for parents, so that they are able to then support their children, right? Our teacher development, and all these the curriculum that we have, and the way that we approach teaching is the school. And then the community as well. Like, how do we mobilize the community so that they understand that that child on the street is your responsibility? And I think that model could be replicated anywhere in the country, just as long as we keep the child at the center of this triangle. I think we can secure the future for them.
That's a beautiful way of looking at it, and I think that could very well help. And then in terms of I've one last question for you, Thobani, and that is, in terms of the impact that you've seen, right? What do you hope that the children who are here now, right, will say in 20 years, when they when they've found their niche, found their jobs, making their way in the world? How do you hope they remember this place?
I don't know why, but I'm getting a bit teary at this question. I hope in 20 years the kids turn back and say, I want to create a safe space for other children. The same way that my teacher touched my heart and made me want to create a safe space for children. Children are the most vulnerable people. And because of that, they are the most violated, the most forgotten. Just, it makes me so angry to think how our own government disrespects children.
Right.
So, if anything, I would want kids to one day say they want to do this for other children.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, there's no problem at all, man. It is a terrible state of affairs in that regard, and it takes it touching our hearts, right? And it shouldn't. Well, don't get me wrong. It shouldn't even be that way in the first place. But it takes people who really have a feeling for it and who see this and see the necessity of its change. Who sometimes bad can come out of good. Oh, sorry, good can come out of bad situations.
I'm like, wait, explain that.
Yeah. my bad. Yeah, dyslexia. But yeah, sometimes good things can come out of bad situations, and it's just it's all part of the process, right, of our lives, and so we find our calling and do what we need to do, and we feel is right and we feel is necessary in that regard. All right, well, Thobani, that was truly beautiful. I thoroughly enjoyed this interview, and keep doing what you're doing. It's clearly working, and I wish you nothing but success and continual encouragement in what you do, and in continual growth and continual learning, as always, right?
Thank you so much, Colin, and as usual, you're such an amazing host.
Thank you.
I've never cried on camera, so I don't know whether to say well done or how dare you.
How about give me a hug?
Absolutely.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. All right. And to our viewers at home, thank you so much. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this interview as much as I have. And all the best. Keep learning, and we'll see you soon. Cheerio for now.